Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you're all doing great and looking forward to a great weekend. I'll just take a brief time to talk a little bit about Ladies That UX. I'm Harsha Kotare, and along with Veena Sonwarkar, who will be joining us soon. We had started this group back in 2015, and let's see what we have been doing for so far. So, who are we? We are a global community of welcoming and collaborative individuals, and we have presence in almost 75 cities around the world now. Just to give you a glimpse of where we are, this kind of shows our presence worldwide. If you want to get associated with any of these groups, or if you want to connect with people in these regions, please let us know, reach out to us, and we'll help you with that. So far it has been amazing 7 years of journey, and we have done 20 plus events. We have a great team or group of members running 800 plus. This was the last event which we did in person, or one of the last events which we did in person, and we are really looking forward to having more of such engagements. So let us know in the comments if you are up for it. How do you feel about having in-person events now that things are opening up and it's looking more positive? Also, I would say at this point of time, please take this opportunity to interact and introduce yourself by leaving comments for us and for others. And we'll take this opportunity to make maximize like how we can interact and socialize during an online event where we are not in person. With that, I would like to bring up my other team members. So, Anusha, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone. Lovely to meet here. I mean, I hope we met uh, in person actually. But I mean, okay. Let me talk about myself first. I am an interaction designer. Currently working with Intuit as a senior product designer. So yeah, you are already familiar that these terms keep changing with company to company. Uh, but I am new to the team of Ladies at UX. Uh, Very excited about the journey here, the kind of platform that Ladies at UX provides. So yeah, looking forward to the talk like all of us here. Thank you.
Nina, you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. I'm Veena Sonwalkar, and sorry, as Harsha mentioned earlier, that we both started Ladies at UX back in 2015, and it's been wonderful 4 years, and we are happy that our community is growing, and we hope to have more events, hopefully in person this year. Yeah, so basically, I'm a associate creative director at Frog, and I've been working with Frog for about 4 years, and I have an overall experience in UX field for about 17 plus years. Yeah, and it's happy to meet you all once again, and very nice to have this exciting event. Over to you, Benish.
Thanks, Veena. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Beenish, and I am an architect converted to a designer, currently working for Infosys Wong 2D as senior experience designer. And I would say among these people, after Anusha, I am the youngest. And here, being part of this group, I'm really excited to be part of a lot of live events. I think the last event which happened there in Bangalore, where I got introduced to Harsha and which went really well. Looking forward to meet all of you in person really soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, so we are active on these channels: Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Most active these days on LinkedIn. So please connect with us over there. And if you have any more questions about the group in terms of volunteering or joining, or any other questions, then you can connect us through these channels, or you can individually connect to one of us, and we'll help you with that. So without any delay, now I would, yeah, ask, yeah, there's one more thing. So there's a global group, as I said, like LTUX is a global community, and from that global community, there is a yearly global event called Talk UX, and we'll share more details about that. And just wanted to let you guys know that it is again like one of the really good events, and uh, look out for it. Yeah, with that, I would really get to what we are here for, or what all of you are here for. So I would like to invite Madhumita Gupta, who is design director at Myntra, for who will talk to us about gamification. And with that, I think I'll just bring in Madhumita. Hey, hi, Madhumita.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Harsha. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to this session.
Same
Before I
here.
get started, I would like to tell a story. So, somewhere in 2020, a girl was sitting in a classroom of IIT Kharagpur and listening to her professor trying to make sense of game theory. Little did she know that 22 years later, working with 9 different companies in 5 different countries, building products, designing products for both B2C and B2B domains, would she be actually on a Friday evening talking about gamification to a wonderful bunch of amazing and talented designers? That's me. I am Madhumita. You can call me Madhu. I am currently playing the role of a director of design at Myntra. With this story, I would like to check how many of you can guess my age. The game stats. Bad joke, but let's see how many of you can guess my age. But yes, I've been in this industry for a while. Have been speaking and mentoring. On a personal front, I'm a strong supporter of sustainable living. It's hard. I'm trying a bit, but not really successful yet. But I also love gardening, cooking, and I'm also very passionate about gender inclusivity, which is why getting a chance to talk in this forum is an absolute honor. So, without further ado, let's get started with gamification. But before that, I would like to play a game with you. I hope all of you know about this game, tic tac toe. Um, in this session, unfortunately, we'll not have a lot of interactions. I know you can send your comments, your questions, but it's very different from how we would have um, um, we could have just talking about a little bit on the gamification and lot of theories. In 45 minutes, I will try to cover a lot of stuff. So it's easy for you to lose me, and it might feel rushed. So I encourage all of you to have a pen and paper or take screenshots of things. And these are like nuggets. And then if you want to know more about it, at the end of the session, I will talk about more books or articles that you can read or how to connect with me. And then, you can take care of it. So
So
be
Madhu,
ready with
just
the pen and paper.
sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you there, but you would be seeing some of the comments coming up there, which I will be
Okay.
pulling from the YouTube. So
Okay.
that's one
Awesome.
of the
Thank
guesses for your age, actually.
Okay, I'll come back to this. Awesome. Okay, so if you have played this game, I'm hoping you have played a little bit on this. I would like you to think about um, who are the players? How many players are needed to play this game? What are the rules? How do you play this game? What are the win loss state? Like, how do you know whether you've won or lost? What is the progression? Once you have played this, are there levels? Is there a progression? What are the rewards? What kind of reward mechanism is in place? I would like you to think about it, make a note if you are with a pen and paper. But what I'm trying to get at is these are game elements, and this is what we will be using to practice gamification. In today's session, I'll try to give you a brief about what is gamification. When do you use gamification? What principles do you apply for gamification? And how to design for it? Okay, so I know a couple of you had asked that questions. I'll try to answer it during the session. And of course, you can take more questions during the session or after the session. So, definition wise, gamification is integrating game elements. Game elements are the things that we just saw: players, rules, stuff like that, and game techniques, game design techniques, into non game context. This is very important. So, you're not using gamification for a game, but in a non game context. What's a non game context? It could be a product, site, service, community, campaign, whatever. Why do you want to do it? To get people hooked to do something which they would normally not do, and it is so engaging that they would come back for more. Basically, it's a fun way of doing things which normally is part of their job, but not necessarily something they do it by habit. Okay. So, gamification is a term which was coined somewhere in 2002 by a fellow called Nick Pelling. However, it didn't catch much of attention until about 2010, when software developers tried to look at the reward mechanism of game and gaming philosophy to apply for their software applications. And since then, it has become popular. So, does it work? Yes, it does. There are numbers to cite that gamification brings results which are measurable. A couple of things that we are seeing here is, the global market is pretty big. It's rising from 9.1 to around 30 billion USD by 2025, with a growth rate of 27.4%, which is a humongous number, right? So definitely a lot of opportunity in that space. When applied gamification in the employee engagement, we've seen results of surveys where people said 95% of the employees enjoy game inspired elements at work. 72% of the employees claim gamification inspires. Ultimately, we are talking about motivation, so there are measures of that as well. So yes, it works. However, only when it is done well, right? So what are the benefits of gamification? It brings engagement. That's the hook thing that I was talking about, bringing people over and over again to do stuff in your product or your service, or your website. It instills positive behavior and builds habits. We'll talk about habit building in the later part of this slide. It allows users to share information or learn new information. It motivates users to perform predefined tasks. Remember, this is the catch of gamification, right? There are predefined tasks. This is not a game where you just come for just fun. You have to do that work, but we want to add a fun element to it. That's why it is gamified. And then, of course, improves recall value because of the rewarding mechanism. Here at Mintra, because we are an e-commerce company and selling fashion products in the e-commerce world, recall is a big factor, and I will talk about how we are applying gamification in a couple of our charters and how we are going about it, where we are succeeding and where we are missing out. Okay, before we move on, I would like to share some real life examples of how gamification was applied, how it is inspiring today's solutions. This is an example of from Starbucks. This is a Starbucks loyalty program case study where Starbucks is a company which sells cafes, coffees and lattes and cappuccinos, and they have this loyalty program where every time you purchase you get some points, and then the points gets accumulated, which you can track in your phone, and beyond a certain number of purchases you get a free coffee or something, some memorable things. So there are points, and then there are community thing. Now, today, this is pretty normal, but when it was launched, it was a big deal. In fact, they saw a growth of around 16 million more users added to their Starbucks user base, which is an awesome number, right? So today, loyalty program is nothing new. Everybody almost tries that. Mintra has insider loyalty point. We have Swiggy and Zomato's and other Amazons. Everybody sort of has loyalty programs to reward people who keep coming back. This is another example, but from the growth and fitness area. So Nike, as you all know, is about selling shoes, right? Now, how do they sell shoes? If people go out, they run, then the shoes will be used, and only then they can sell shoes, right? But instead of thinking about just how to sell shoes, they looked at how to improve the fitness awareness about people, and that's when Nike Fuel came into picture, where they created a band and a mobile app where people could track their activities. Again, today, a lot of these apps are out there. You have NoiseFit and Apple Watch, and there are Healthify apps, which is running with the same concept. But Nike Fuel was one of the pioneers in applying gamification in the world of fitness. Again, they saw a growth of 5 million new users just because of this feature. The last one, this one is an example of gamification applied for internal employees. So in a corporate, this is an example from Deloitte. As you all know, it's a huge community service company with a huge community, and they were facing this challenge of how to upskill their people. And using this concept of Badgeville, they got a engagement ratio of 46.6% rise in how people were getting trained. Huge numbers, makes a lot of difference. So these are some of the examples. Today you will see this concept of badge being used, but here are some of the early achievers of gamification. So where can you add gamification? What problems can you address with gamification? Frankly, it can be applied anywhere, right? For external, so you saw this example of when we will talk more about more examples actually, but for customers, you can apply gamification. For internal employees, you can apply gamification. For a crowdsourcing, to get a community to come together for a common cause, you could use gamification. Or if you want to instill some behavioral use. Okay, so remember these four things. We will use this in a quiz that I will just start right after this slide. If you want to take a screenshot or you want to note down, do that. But I will tell you some stories, and then I would like you to think, what category does this example belong? Is it an external, internal, crowdsourcing, or behavioral? Okay, so let's start the quiz. So this is an example from Aldi. Aldi is a supermarket, primarily playing in Europe and US market, but they did this marketing campaign to increase the data that they capture about people. So what they did was they floated this game or gamification of collecting user data. They said, create your mood board, but use this color of yellow, right? And once you create your mood board, you can share it in Facebook. You will get social likes. You will get more and more engagement with your post. But in that whole process, Aldi was also able to guess how what kind of moods or what kind of preferences people had, and then that helped them personalize their catalog. So what do you think? What example is this? Is it an external, internal, crowdsource, or behavior? Just make a note. We'll reveal the answer in a while. Okay, next example. This is about a website which is called CrowdRise. It's a mechanism where you can go and make a request for people to donate for a cause, right? And this helps people to share once they have donated. There is an engagement. You can see what causes, how it is used, so on and so forth. So this is another example called CrowdRise. So think about it. What kind of domain is it belonging? This is an example from SAP. So this is where they have created a community where people can ask questions, and then there are experts who can come and answer. And as you answer more, you get badges, you scale up, you become an expert, you get recognized within the community as an expert as you answer more on, give more answers. Similarly, you can ask a lot of questions. So this is another example of gamification. Think about it. What category does it belong? All right. Last example. This is an app which helps people save money, right? Or build the habit of saving. So and they believe on tiny habits. So you don't save a large amount of money, but you save pennies, small amount of money. And you can track where your expenses are going, how you're saving it. So this is also gamified, but it's kind of helping people build this habit of saving. So think about what are these categories. As you think, you will be able to relate whether you can apply it for the area that you are working on. Okay, so ta-da, the answers. Let me know how many of you got it right. um, it's okay if you think that one of these are different. I would love to hear your thoughts if you think it belongs to some other category, right? It's possible. It is actually. Some of these examples can be applied to other categories also than what is written here. Cool. Moving on. So now that we have learned so far what is gamification, what proofs do we have that it works, what benefits it brings, and some examples, let's now look at how do we go about designing for gamification, because that's the crux of it. Now, I would like to give you a disclaimer. The next couple of slides, at least the 6-7 slides that I will talk about, is pretty heavy on theory. So again, I might lose you very easily because it's all theory. But I would love for you to be engaged, take screenshots or write notes, ask questions if you have one. I will pause in between and we will do some thinking exercise. Okay, so what you're seeing here is called the 6D design framework. This was developed by Dr. Mark Weber from the University of Pennsylvania. It talks about gamification design, but it aligns with one very famous principles. I don't know how many of you can guess. It looks very similar to something which would have seen in design. Can you guess what how what it looks like? The 6D framework. Well, um, it is in the lines of design thinking. If you are aware of design thinking, then this is about the iterative process. So we'll go through each of them. Now, the first question, whether gamification is needed for the problem that you're solving, we need to ask 3 questions. Number one, what is the business objective that you are chasing? Right? What is the impact that you want to bring? It could be revenue, it could be retention, it could be productivity, adoption, whatever. Right? The next one is you have to understand whether this objective can be gamified or not. Right? Which means that when I say gamification, remember the definition. You want people to come over and over again, right? You want them to change their behavior. You want them to be hooked. So if this is an objective which is one time, gamification may not be the right solution. And then the last one is rank and eliminate. Is there any other ways of solving this problem other than gamification? Right? Uh, I'll give you an example where Mintra recently missed in applying gamification. In fact, we looked at the business objective of retention. Like we always want people to come and be with me, Mintra. Now we thought, should we gamify our sign in or the sign up rather process, right? Should we gamify that? And then we looked at the justifying part, and we realize that it's a one-time activity, right? You will come, you will sign up, but it's not something that you will keep doing it. You, once you have signed up, it's done. You are logged into the app unless you log out specifically, right? And there are other mechanism of increasing the sign up. I could do a more better marketing, increasing the touch points where people can sign up, but it really doesn't need a gamification, right? So this is one example where you can look at a business objective, look at the uh, solution and question, can it be gamified or not, and then you eliminate or prioritize if it can be solved by some other mechanism. The next thing is the behavior part. This is very important, right? The behavioral part is that what kind of changes do you want to bring in your users, changing their behavior? It could be direct, like I said, engagement, collaboration, expression, awareness, or it could be indirect, like loyalty, mastery, social proofing and stuff like that, right? So it's very important to know that what behavior you're targeting. So let's say you have achieved the business objective, but you have not been able to achieve the behavior change, then it's not sustainable. It's probably a fluke. If you've changed the behavior but not achieved the business objective, then you probably chose the wrong gamification method, right? The sweet spot is when you bring a behavioral change as well as achieve the business objective. So these are two main things for you to decide whether a problem that you have in hand is gamifiable or not. Okay. And of course, users, right? Now, each of you are probably already working on things like user personas or user roles. But in the gamification world, you also have to think of the player's motivation, right? This is a framework which was devised by a person called Amy Jo Kim. She is a renowned game designer. She has enormous TED Talks and books written on game design. And she came up with this framework where she said that players have a different motivation. Some wants to compete, some wants to collaborate, some wants to explore, and some wants to express, right? So you have to figure out what kind of users are coming. So again, bringing Mintra's analogy, we believe that because Mintra is a fashion e-commerce site, people would like to explore or express rather than compete or collaborate, right? Because this is where the fashion is an expression of self, an exploration of what are the possibility of looking good. So this is how you kind of look at what users are you looking at, and that will help you strategize what kind of gamification techniques will you use going forward. Okay. One last thing in this section is the player journey. Now you have to remember that your players advance over a period of time. When the player is first time coming to your gamification world, that's a newbie. They don't know much. So you need to have an onboarding, which is easy challenges, quickly gets over it, gets hooked in the beginning. Then they get into the regular level. That's the habit forming. They keep coming back. They keep coming back. At that point of time, they can either hit a plateau, or you might want to take them to the next level, which is the enthusiast level, where you take them to the mastery, right? So when I gave you that example of SAP, you have where people are coming and answering questions. They had a newbie opportunity, and then regular answering, and then there are difficult questions because they had that rating of how difficult that question was, and they had that journey of growth in the players exposure to the gamification world. So think about what kind of players and what is their journey, right? And that will help you again devise your gamification. So let's practice a little bit. You learned the first three parts of the 60 framework. So now I would like you to spend 1 minute trying to write down some of the business objectives that you're trying to chase. What kind of target behaviors do you think will make sense for the problem that you are chasing? And what are your player type? Right? Are they competing, collaborating, expressing, or exploring? Right? Take a minute, write down, share if you can, if you're open to sharing, and then This will help you decide the next steps, which is the strategy of how to go about the gaming strategy. I'll pause for a minute here. Does anybody have anything to share? Do you want to talk about some of the challenges that you are currently working on? We can quickly take a stab of. Okay, you're working on EdTech. Gamification helped our team to motivate the students. Excellent. Yes, EdTech is a world where gamification has been applied a lot. Um, so this is it's a great example. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll talk about the reward mechanism in a while, where you're talking about buying avatars and backgrounds. So we'll talk about that. Thank you so much for sharing, Hardik. Anyone else have anything else to share? Think about, if you're doing some problem solving in the internal application world, or if you're building a product, what kind of product? EdTech is one. I'm talking about Mintra. You can think about delivery systems, whatever is your problem space. um, think about the objectives, the target behaviors, and the player types. Okay. um, I'll move on in the interest of time. So now let's look at the yes, I think there will be a recording available for you. Okay. So we'll now look at the activity of strategy. Right. This is a very interesting part. So we will talk about psychology, brain, and behavior a little bit in the activity strategy. So our science of behavioral study has shown that rewarding users in a journey reinforces habit. This is a proven science, and how we go about it is by creating challenges. If a person is motivated, they will then try to reach the goal, and in that process of reaching that goal, they will do some activities. And when they do the activities, if they get a feedback, which is the reward, they feel more encouraged or motivated to pick up more challenge, and it kind of creates an engagement loop. Why this happens? It happens because there is a chemical which is released called dopamine, right? There are other chemicals that we work with. Serotonin is one, which is generated when you exercise, or oxytocin when you work together in a group. Cortisol when you're tensed. But dopamine is the main chemical that we work with in the world of gamification, right? Because it creates motivation, it enables learning, it drives repetitive actions instinctively. So example of Instagram, TikTok, they all work on dopamine. The anticipation of getting an award makes us do the same thing. So we keep scrolling because the reward is a good content, and then you like that content, you get the pleasure, and then you continue scrolling. So that's how the engagement loop is created. So when you are creating your activity strategy, you will have to think about this engagement loop. You have to create that engagement loop. Now, just by creating a loop will not give you the desired result. This is where gamification fails most of the time. People think that, okay, if I do a points, badges, and leaderboard, my gamification is done. That's a big no, right? You have to think about the fun. Remember, gamification is about engagement. It is about having fun. Think about last time when you had fun, and most likely you had fun when you were learning something. Uh, why is Lego so famous? It's because you do something, you get some action, and you immediately get a feedback. Some of the blocks connect with each other. And then there's a curiosity aspect of it, which means that you don't know what's coming next, so you add more blocks and you get a structure closely, right? And then it reinforces the positive behavior. Okay. There is an aspect of trust and transparency, not so much in games, physical games, but definitely in the digital world, where we want to make people feel at control. We want to ensure that people are transparent, there is constraints are clear, and we are not cheating, we're not being unethical. So fun is a very, very important aspect of gamification design. It's not easy. Fun is not easy. Designing fun is not easy, but yes, there is a way of reaching there. Okay, so think about, whenever you're doing a gamification, what are the user actions you want them to do, what feedback do you want to give. And we will talk about feedback as a reward in the next slide, because in the gamification world, reward is the biggest dopamine generator. Cool. So moving on, what are the different reward systems, right? There are different types of rewards. They can be tangible or intangible. When I say tangible, it means actual things, like you get cash back, or you get a gift, a physical gift. So which is something which is tangible. It could be many a times intangible. So recognition, status, access, social feedback. These are non-tangible, but then they are still considered as rewards. Um, how do you consider reward categories? There are two types: contingent and non-contingent. Again, this is a little bit of theory, so pay little attention. Non-contingent reward system means that you will reward a person just because they are there. Okay, so imagine you have sometimes when you take a credit card, they give you some credit points to begin with. You haven't done anything, you haven't yet purchased or used the credit card. Just because you took that credit card, they are giving you some points, reward points early on, like preloaded. So this is like a non-contingent. If you, like in the onboarding process in companies now, we apply this in non-contingent. Just because you've joined, we give you a welcome kit, right? Just to make you feel good about joining this company. So you haven't done anything, you haven't crossed a challenge, you haven't taken an action, yet we give you a reward. That's a non-contingent. Contingent is the most common one, where you ask people to do some task, and when they finish the task, you give them a reward. Okay. And the last thing, which is very important to remember, is when do you give a reward? The reward schedule, right? You can give it at a fixed rate or at a fixed time, like every day at a certain period of time. You will, if you come to my app, I will give you a reward. Especially in the edtech world, this is used. Like if you log in every time you finish a lesson, we'll give you some rewards. So these are fixed ratio and fixed time. Continuous reward is something which you constantly give. Like in schools, kids are given a star, golden star, every time they write well, or every time they, whatever they're doing, right? Unless it's really bad, there's a constant supply of stars, right? That's a continuous. However, psychology studies have shown that rewards are most um, in, exciting when it is random, when people cannot predict when the reward is coming. So random rewards is the most effective rewards. There are a lot of experiments done. BF Spinner has done a spinner box experiment which proves this on rats. It has been tried with human beings. We have Pavlovian theory, which is on the same similar lines. So random rewards is something which we always try, that people should not be able to figure out when they will get a reward. So there's a curiosity, and that makes it fun. Okay, so again, these are heavy on theory. I've touched just the iceberg of this whole reward system. Should you have more questions, type it in, we will try to answer, or we can connect later. Okay, so quick practice. Again, from the business objective, from the player identification that you would have done, and the behavior, think about engagement loop now. Now, instead of thinking about a solution, think about the engagement loop that you have seen recently, where you felt the need to um, keep coming back or keep doing something over and over again. Can you think of some engagement loop and share here? I'll take a pause about a minute. Have you come across any engagement loop? Duolingo. Yes, that's a good example. It's an app to learn um, new languages. So it applies gamification because every time you use a word, it will reward you for that. Excellent. Thank you, Hardik. Anyone else? How about your phone? Every time there's a ding, what do you do? Every time there's a sound, a short sound in your phone, what do you do? Anybody? Notification is actually a good mechanism of engagement loop. Every time you hear a sound, you feel like checking out, right? Be it Slack or your messages or WhatsApp or whatever messenger or communication tool that you're using. Notification works on engagement loop. There is a sound, that's your trigger. You want to check it out, you see some content, sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't, but it generates a dopamine. Fitbit, yes, and similar apps have for our wearable devices. Absolutely, very good. So Fitbit will vibrate, right? After, if you have not you know moved for a while, or it will nudge you to drink water. So these are all ways of engagement loop. Sometimes you're even curious, um, when will it buzz next time, how long have I been sitting? So yes, Fitbit is a good example. Thank you. Thank you, Anusha. Cool. So I guess you have a hang of what engagement loop is and what we are trying to get at. I'll share with you an example of what we are doing. We've recently done in Mintra. This is an example where we applied the concept of uh, the business objective that we were trying to work was retention. That means we want people to come back after their first purchase. The behavior that we were trying to target is engagement. We want people to come and look at styles, not necessarily purchase, but keep looking for styles within the app. And our player type, like I said, they're more exploratory, expressive type of users. Of course, there are others. We have deal seekers, and we have people who are more uh, brand conscious and things like that, but most of the people are very expressive and creative and explorative. Engagement loop that we created is every time you want to uh, look for new styles which we have in our app. That is a loop that we wanted to. And what do we have for special days? If you know what's your birthday, what's your anniversary day, we will create some special curated styles for you. So we want them to keep coming back to explore the styles every time um, they share with us. Um, I will touch upon it, Asad, for the B2B world as well. So this is an example where the reward was a discount coupon. So for your birthday, we will keep telling them that you can come back here and you can check your styles which are curated because it's your birthday, right? To answer your question, Asad, in the I showed a couple of B2B examples. One thing which I can share in my personal world that we have done is, let's say you are in IT world where you're doing a call support, call center support, champions, you're doing that gamification for them. So one one way of doing it was, okay, can they close the call with a positive sentiment from the customers? And then we kind of gamify it. We do healthy competition. as to how many people can um, close a call with quality. So not only are they getting points for resolving an issue, but also how quickly they are able to resolve that issue, or how good is that rating that they are getting from their customers. That's also, a point or a badge that we kind of apply to encourage folks to be, because normally what happens is people try to close a call as soon as possible without resolving, and that's bad user experience. So to instill that behavior of doing a good job of closing a call on time, it's not just the time but the quality matters. That's where we have applied gamification to measure, connect the rating, and then taking them across the levels. That's one example in the B2B world. In tools like inventory management, completion rate is an example where we use progress bar to show how much you have completed, and if there's a competition, then how others are doing. Sometimes it is just about collaboration, so how many people are doing it together. Again, it depends on your player type. Okay, we can talk more about this, but I hope kind of gives you some answers on this. The last part of it is the deployment of the right tools, right? So we've already spoken about the strategy, the problem that you want to address. Now we will look at how do we go about it, what are the game elements, right? I'll try to play a video. I don't know if it will play, but finding the motivation to get in shape can be tough. You know it's important, but life is busy, and that couch is so soft. Plus, with so many programs and methods out there, just getting started can feel overwhelming. Truth is, there's no one fitness plan that suits everyone, but there is one fitness place that does. Welcome to Fitocracy, the health and fitness social network that empowers you to succeed. From beginners needing guidance to experienced people wanting more. Fitocracy combines engaging workout routines with addictive gamification elements that make fitness more fun. Earn points for your workouts, unlock achievements, and watch your progress as you level up past those bad habits while enjoying encouragement from the best fitness community on the planet. And now, we're taking you even further with Fitocracy Team Fitness, online personal fitness groups led by the best coaches in the world. You select a team based on your goals, and your coach creates a tailored nutrition and training program specific to you. They'll tell you what to do, how to do it, how often, and keep tabs on your progress. Schedule your workouts when it's best for you. Small team sizes and lots of online discussions offer you plenty of access to your fitness pro, all for a fraction of one-on-one coaching prices at the gym. Everyone has a goal. Fitocracy Team Fitness can help you reach yours. Join us and discover your own personal formula for long-term fitness success. So I hope you were able to notice different gamification techniques that they were using. They had badges, they had progress, leaderboards, levels, points, virtual coins, community. Again, I would encourage you to take a screenshot of this. Normally, we often think that gamification is only about points, leaderboards, and badges, but there are many more. Obviously, this is not the most exhaustive list of gamified elements, but this is a good enough number. Uh, I will also share some articles where you can find how to use them and where it works, where it doesn't. But yeah, this is a kind of a of all the game elements that you could apply for your gamification solution. The another thing that we should uh, think about during the gamification design is the theme, right? In the photography world, you saw a lot of cartoons and bright colors. Basically, we want to understand the storytelling, the progression, like how do you move from one level to another, how do you take them in a certain gamified world. In Flipkart, there is something called a Farmville kind of thing, where you water your garden and your garden grows, and the water comes because you've looked at certain styles or you've made certain high value actions and things like that. So the storytelling and the progression makes a lot of impact on your gamification adoption, right? Even the relationship, how will a player work with another player, or especially if it is a multiplayer game, then relationship becomes very important. And the mechanics, right? You remember the TikTok game, I TikTok tic-tac-toe game that I started with. There were rules, right? You once you make a cross across three of them, then you win, right? So there were rules. You cannot use anything other than crosses and zeros. There are challenges that you have to make a straight line out of it. There are, in that specific game, there are no incentives, but we looked at different ways of doing incentives. Schedules, we talked about schedules. When do you give a reward? And visual cues, which is about the feedback. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the presentation. Give me 5 more minutes and then I will close. And if you have more questions. And Hardik, yes, to your point, sale is a big dopamine generator, right? It's a FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If I don't buy now, I might not get the best value later. So that's another psychological thing. Not so much as gamification, but it is more playing with FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay. So, coming to the conclusion part, I would like to talk about where gamification fails and why, um, and what is that one key takeaway of this presentation, this 1 hour that you have given me today. Okay, limitations. As you know, rewards is a big factor of the gamification world. We've seen that it can be manipulative, it can be addictive. If it is used incorrectly, it leads to a bad habit formation. It needs constant supply, like you have to constantly give rewards, and that's burning, right? Every time we give a coupon, we are kind of burning our money. Or every time you have to, if it is intangible reward, it's still fine. If it is tangible reward, then it's a constant supply, and it can be hard on the company business objectives. Anticipation of rewards is short lived. Now, our brains are very good in pattern recognition. So, we will constantly try to, and that's our curiosity, right? We will try to find out when will you give me a reward. The moment they can figure out when the rewards are coming, the anticipation is lost, right? And then no matter how much you give, it will not make any impact. People get motivated for different reasons. Some people like money, some people like status, some people like social recognition. So, one solution will not work for all, right? Everybody is different. And then sometimes, this is very important, this is the most important of all the bullet points. Sometimes extrinsic reward mechanism can kill intrinsic. A classic example are school kids who just draw by themselves. But the moment you put a competition, they feel, oh, I might lose, and then they don't draw, they stop drawing. That's your intrinsic motivation killer, right? Just because you created an extrinsic one. Wordle is your new addiction. Yes, I heard. I've not used it, but I know somebody's life was saved because the mother had stopped sending her Wordle puzzle to her daughter, and then she could rush back and check when her mother was not well. So, yeah, good example. Thank you for sharing. But yes, you know, understand the limitations of reward system. There are legal aspect regulations that you have to be very cautious of, right? Privacy, if you're taking information without letting people know how you're going to use that information, it's a privacy violation. Sometimes people use deceptive marketing in the name of gamification. That's wrong. You can get sued for it. Regulatory issues, you cannot give free money. different governments have different rules. So what kind, even virtual coins, there are legal aspects of how, what it means, how it translates to actual money. So you have to be very careful about that. And exploitation, this is a major reason why it fails. Play bor means you're making people work more, labor more, because of the in the name of playing, right? So that is something which we don't want. We don't want unhealthy competition. We don't want people to feel cheated. We don't want people to have mental stress because they are getting into a gamified world which is kind of imposed on them, and it's not a choice. Remember, the fun part, users needs to be in control. If you force upon somebody gamification and you don't give the choice to opt out, it's actually forced labor. Okay, so remember all of this. This is the last slide that I have for you folks. If there is anything else you forget, that's okay. Remember these three things. In order for you to create a behavioral change, you need to understand what are your skills, what are the motivation, and what are the triggers. When should you introduce a gamification? What motivations do you want to target, and do they have that mobile ability to do the action that you are asking them to do, right? If you can think about these three things and plan around that, you'll be able to get the behavioral change. However, like I said, gamification has both positive and negative impacts. Not every user is interested in games. It changes. Remember the player journey; it changes over time. So be successful, do well, design well, but don't believe, or don't make people believe, your stakeholders believe, that this is a silver bullet. It is not. That's all from my end. Thank you so much for your engagement. I wish we had more. Technology has its own challenges, but should you have more questions, please reach out to me. I'm very active in LinkedIn. I'll respond to your questions, and of course, we can connect offline. That's all, folks.
Thanks a lot, Madhumita, for that great session. I'm sure everybody had a lot of takeaways and a lot to go back and ponder upon. So, thank you so much for your time. I think we are on time, but we can take one or two more questions. So, I think Anusha will help us with that. Anusha, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. And I'm first of all, I would want to thank you, Madhumita. I've worked on gamification, but the things that I learned today, I was not aware. So thank you for that, for the breadth that you covered. Uh, so yeah, a few questions which have been shared, and I'll just choose one or two. One of which is, how can we know that the gamification is required for a product? So we work on a lot of products, right? But we don't know for which gamification is required. So yeah.
True. If you remember the first of the D, right, where you define the objectives, there are three questions I had mentioned. You need to understand what is the business objective that you are trying to achieve. You want to find out what are the different ways of doing it. And one of them, if it is gamification, you need to eliminate or rank the other solutions and see if the other solutions are better. Then you discard gamification. You go ahead with the normal way of doing things, but you have to think about the alternatives, which should not be conflicting with the gamification world. If your product is bad, you, no matter how much gamification you do, it will not work, right? So a lot of focus should go on making your product better. Gamification will just help enhance engagement or attention or acquisition.
Very true. Another very interesting question, specific to the domain, is what gamification techniques can be implemented in a mental and wellness app, health and wellness app.
Um, sure. I mean, you can apply the 6D framework. From a strategy point of view, you will have to think about the engagement loop. In a health app, you would want people, I'm guessing, I've not worked in a health app in the past, but I've used one where, you are asked to share your uh, medical conditions in your daily, especially if you're tracking your diabetes, what is your score, and then you you reinforce positive behavior. So if somebody is able to control their diabetes, you kind of give them rewards or points, or if they're drinking enough water, you give them some credits, or you can share your achievements. If you've done a physical activity, get social acknowledgement. So the focus is positive reinforcement. So whatever techniques you use that enforces positive behavior, that is what you should follow.
Great. I mean, we have few more questions, and I'm sure people would reach out to you with more questions. So I think over to you, Harsha.
Thanks, Anusha. And thanks, Madhumita, once again. And we have a bonus session for our attendees today, so we'll move on to that. Just I'll invite our next speaker. Hi, Vanita. Welcome to our session. Thank you for your time today, and I'll just hand it off to you. Vanita is India Ambassador for ECO's Innovation Lab, and they have some pretty good things to share with us. So over to you, Vanita.
Thank you, Harsha, and great to be here. Thanks for inviting me to present the Design Leadership Program. It's lovely to get connected with this community and to know the good work that you guys are doing. For the others who do not know me, I'm Vanita Shankar. I'm an independent design strategist for organizational transformation, a problem-based researcher. I come with 20 plus years of design experience, from multidisciplinary background. I've worked in various big corporations in the US, Singapore, and in India. I also teach design thinking and innovation management for postgrad students. So that's me. So what am I doing here presenting ECO's Innovation Labs Design Leadership Program? I was part of season 1 of the Design Leadership Program that ECO's Innovation Lab had offered last year, and I benefited quite a lot from attending the program. And I'm also their design ambassador. I kind of host fireside sessions for them, and I also take communicate about the design leadership program to the India and Asia Pacific markets. So that's about me. A quick word of introduction about ECO's Innovation Lab. We are an independent global innovation lab driven by design and focusing on 3 business units. One is the School of Design Thinking, Innovation Projects, and Ventures. Through innovation projects, ECOS helps businesses create value and innovate for good. And ECOS School of Design Thinking, this is the one that offers the Design Leadership Program, helping people and organizations master the innovation mindset, skills, and tools. We have presence all over the globe with major presence in Portugal, Brazil, and Australia. Just to kind of give you the kind of outreach that ECOS Innovation Lab has had, 40,000 professionals at the campus courses, 70,000 professionals, 70 plus 1,000 professionals at the online courses, and 150 projects developed. ECOS is also part of the Global Design Thinking Academy, Alliance. And then this is the Design Leadership Season 2. It has 12 global masterclasses, 12 regional programs, and 1 global community. So this is the program journey, and this is broadly how it looks like. So like I said, we have 12 weeks of programs planned for design and innovation leaders, and it promises to change your career and practice, right? So the first week is all about Design is Leadership by Bruce Moore. And if you do not know who Bruce Moore is, please go and look up on the podcast that he has done for this for the ECOS Innovation Lab. And he's also the author of Creating Change, the 24 Laws of Creating Change. You can look it up online. Some pretty interesting. He's amazing. He's an amazing speaker, and you can look up his podcasts and you can look up all his work at the ECOS website. And the second week is about minimum viable competencies for design leaders, and this is by Jean Liedtke. You might have heard of her. She's from the Darden School of Business, and this is mostly about how design can help businesses. And then we have Articulating the Value of Design by Stephen Gates. We have Service Design is the New Management by Bridget Mayer. She's a very well-known service designer. She's pioneered service design. Creating high value products. This is kind of open right now. The speaker is not confirmed yet, as yet. And then we have Facilitation is a design leadership skill. We have Shaping Diverse Teams and Cultures. I will also take you through the speakers in the next slide. We have Design Ethics, Impact and Decolonizing Design, Shaping Organization through Design Ops, Creating a Future Vision by Phil Bagaltas, New Technologies and Pushing Boundaries, and Path for Design Leaders. And this is all part of the global masterclasses. And it will be covered through the 12-week program. And for some reason, yeah, okay. Okay, so this is broadly how the learning experience will be. So it's all about starting with you and yourself. What is your purpose? What is, knowing yourself completely, strengths and flaws, building your next steps in the design leadership journey, and progressing to you, products and services, which is all about creating excellence in the last mile of design. We have digital products and the future of service design. And then you and others, which is shaping and managing the design teams, giving feedback, hiring and so this is all about organization and how you fit in creating a design culture. And finally, you and systems, right, which is articulating the value of design and ethics, design ethics and impact, systemic design. We have design ops, and designing organizations. So it's kind of the experience is curated to make you all memorable design leaders. And in this experience, we'll go through all the necessary abilities in each area, which is required for design leadership. And so this is how the learning experience is structured. And these are the global leaders who will be presenting the 12 masterclasses. The others are still being finalized, but they will be, top leaders, practicing leaders who have carved out their own journey. And so the course starts on May 9th and it'll go on until August 3rd with a break in between after the 6th session. Just a 1-week break, but then it'll go on until August 3rd. And the global master classes will be on Mondays, 6 to 7 p.m. New York time, and local workshops will be Wednesday evenings, and it'll be facilitated by the regional leaders. And just before I show this, I mean, the community has a 20% off, but just before I show this, let me just quickly share the so these are the 4 tickets that are available. One is the Design Leadership VIP, which offers full access to all the masterclasses and all 36 regional workshops, including the Season 1's courses and programs. It also offers 3 hours of private mentorship. And then we have the premium, which is the most popular one, and full access to 12 masterclasses and 12 regional workshops with 6 months of access to the platform. By joining this and by completing the course, you will be part of a Slack workspace with access to global community, and you will also be given a design leadership certificate. And then we have the basic, which allows you to choose either from the 12 masterclasses or the 12 regional workshops. And the individual tickets are not usually preferred, but just in case you want to pick that one, program or masterclass or regional workshop to attend, and this is what it is about. And so you can find more details. I'll put in the link for ECOS Innovation Lab just after this session. There is also an ebook which is about what is design leadership, the power of design. I mean, I would highly recommend you to download this leadership ebook, which has a lot of resources about leadership and all you need to know about it. And so this is the website, schoolofdesignthinking.ecos.cc. You can find more details about the program, about the regional workshops, the global master classes, some very interesting fireside sessions. If you'd like to take a sneak peek at the speakers, I think there are some important recordings, podcasts, and resources for you to check out. And if you have more questions, you can either reach out to me. I will drop my mail ID right after the session. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present, but I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thanks a lot, Vanita, for taking us through that overview of the courses and offerings. And I think we are out of time, so maybe we'll leave the question and answer for our offline channel. And I'm sure folks will connect with you. And when we give out this recording, they can go through the recorded content, as well as we'll give all the necessary your connect, as well as other links for echoes as well. So thanks again for your time and for the exclusive offer for the community. And with that, I think we are towards the end of this session. Thanks again. I'll invite Veena to the stage for the end note.
Hello again. Thank you so much, Madhumita, for the wonderful talk on the gamification. I love the way that you have put a structure around how to create gamified solutions, and it was great that you talked about all those different parameters we need to consider while we are designing for gamification. And also, thank you, Vanita. That was awesome. Just looking at the course, it looks exciting, especially what you mentioned in those 12 weeks. All the, it's pretty detailed where it covers service design and various other aspects. So definitely, please do share us more information and also the details to download the ebook. It was really helpful for all of us because the primary objective of our group is to encourage more women leaders in the design field, and I'm sure this would definitely it's a step forward to do that. So thank you everyone for your participation, and we see a lot of excitement from your end through your questions, and I think this is wonderful. And I would also like to thank my colleagues here at Ladies at UX, Harsha, Anusha, and Binish as well, for organizing this event. Thanks everyone, and we hope please do follow us on social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are present on all the three channels, so please do talk about our event. Please do post your feedback on our event. We would love to hear on how best we can improve the future events. And as Harsha mentioned earlier, we wish to plan an offline event pretty soon, so hopefully we can do that in the next few months, and we would be able to meet all of you in person. So thank you everyone, and have a lovely weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. And as I was mentioning, I just wanted to add one last thing. If anybody wants to get associated with us, or want to volunteer or participate in any way, reach out to us. As well as if you wish to speak on your passion projects or topics, or if you are looking forward to some speakers of your choice on certain topics, then please let us know, and we'll try to bring it us to our community. Thank you and have a good weekend. Bye.